Testing, testing, 1, 2. Just doing a quick audio check here. Testing, 1, 2, test. That music's a little too hot. Turn down a tad. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. A little bit better. Okay, I'm just getting a couple things configured here. Almost there. See these little guys here? This is some standing water I had outside my place. Almost there. Just a couple more tweaks. Man. Okay, let's go back to the main window. So, as I was saying, this is just another impromptu stream. I've collected some recent rainwater outside in some planter boxes, pots and various other things sitting outside, and discovered this many years ago. I started messing with microscopes again after taking a break, and the little tray in your pots at home on your porch or buckets in the backyard, standing water that's sat for a period of time. Creates like a small pond kind of atmosphere. And as long as there's enough oxygen in there and nutrients coming and going with birds visiting and insects and other kinds of stuff, becomes a really great resource for microorganisms to thrive. And I found all kinds of interesting species, some I've never seen before, in various friends' front porches and backyards and stuff. So I just got into this whole thing of collecting water like that when it's been sitting around. And just so happens that all the rain we had lately had a bird bath I collected from water before with if you saw the previous stream with the colorful samples that had like the red cells and the yellow cells and the green cells, these kind of like algae. I haven't had a chance to identify them yet, but really cool spherical algae. Almost look like eggs at first, but they look more like algae based on the color and the structure and everything else. But because obviously birds visit it a lot, they bring stuff in on their bills and their feet and their feathers. Insects come and go, so there's a constant flow of incoming travelers on animal bodies, as well as falling out of trees as wind blows and rain washes them down into the ground, and they can fall into the bird bath and drain off the side of the building. All kinds of stuff can bring new critters to your little water collections. So as long as the water maintains, you'll have pretty much an endless supply of stuff without having to go visit a pond or a salt marsh or gutters nearby that have some standing water. You already have it in your yard. So just a good recommendation for those of you into that stuff. Here you can see a ciliate cruising around in the background to the bottom left. It just went off screen. I'm going to this new software I have lets me actually zoom in, as well as changing this new camera I got actually has better aperture control and exposure control, as well as white balance and the zoom feature. So now I can just sit here without having to change eyepiece and do some digital zooms, which are quite good actually. And so there are some small characters floating around here. There's one of them right there. You can tell by the wobbly motion, side to side, kind of like a fish swimming, that it's a ciliate. So it's driven by cilia behind it, which is kind of a more, it's a less precise motion than, sorry, a flagellate, which has flagella behind it, much less precise than the ciliate, which doesn't swim in a wobbly fashion. They can basically turn on a dime and keep going. This guy's actually very interesting. I think I can zoom in here since it's parked. And let's see what I can find. Let's change exposure, of course, because auto isn't always working correctly, but it is nice to have the feature. So there's a flagellate. And I found one of these last time. This definitely has the shape of a euglenoid, basically a single-celled animal that has plant-like characteristics. You can tell by the shape, the fact that it's a flagellate, the color. See, there's a greenish tint to it because it can have chloroplasts, or basically chlorophyll structures inside of them for photosynthesis, so they don't always have to eat. And they usually have a characteristic red eye spot. See that little thing swishing around, that little line looks like a hair? That's the flagellum there, kind of curving back around. They're also really good at changing their shape. They're quite gelatinous. See right there, it's really changing its shape. I have a video from another, when I used to work at a nature center at the Palo Alto Baylands, and I have some really cool footage of one. I didn't even know what it was at first. It was all like distorted and gelatinous looking and kind of oblate. Oh, the one goes cruising by in the background. Let me fix the it's doing this silly thing with the messing up the frame rate. I think it has to do with the zoom. When you zoom, it kind of messes up the frame rate a little bit. But there's a really nice shot of it there, kind of oozing through the debris here. But you can see the green structures in there. Definitely has chlorophyll. And I believe I can see there's the red eye spot, which is near the flagellum. So that is a type of Euglena, I believe. Very interesting animal-plant hybrid. So now the frame rate is getting goofed up. Let me see if I can fix that. I think the software automatically defaults to a dumb setting here. No, it's set for high frame rate. Bit depth. Yeah. I think the problem is the resolution sometimes gets out of whack. It doesn't have to be that high. And then we get a proper frame rate. There you go. That's a nice smooth frame rate now. Any of you interested in music? Because I also have a music tech channel, if you aren't aware, called Synthaddict. I could sit and make a bunch of this kind of music, but I don't have the patience to make 4 hours of ambient music. Although it can be nice as background music, it's very boring to make it. So I use a few free online generators for free ambient kind of aleatoric or ambient music. So I'm using one of those right now. I forgot the name of it. I'll look it up. But there are a bunch of them if you search online. If you need music for your live streams or just to chill out too in the background. Alright, so now I'm going to use my controls on the scope to do what needs to be done. This guy's in the background in the debris here. But you can clearly see, I'll zoom in again, it's really changing shape there. It has a greenish tint to it, see that? And you can see there's a red eye spot in there, which is how they can find their way around. Being chlorophyll carrying animal, it needs to know where the light is so it can make food. And if the light is too strong, then it has to move away. There's the flagellum kind of out of focus a little bit there. See that little whipping around the... You see how they just really change shape a lot. They're very interesting animals. But they're this weird boundary of what is a plant and what is an animal. And obviously humans and mammals and birds and reptiles don't have chlorophyll. We're what you call heterotrophs. We're basically eating stuff out of our environment to get calories in. And autotrophs, like plants and algae in general, and these single-celled animals like Euglena, they can be a heterotroph if they would choose to eat, but most of the ones that have chlorophyll, from what I understand, what I've seen, just pretty much use the chlorophyll as much as possible, just kind of cruise around. But they do have, they have the capability to eat. There are some Euglena species that don't have chlorophyll. But it's just a really weird, evolutionary period where these guys broke off and formed animals with plant characteristics. It's very interesting. They don't have a cell wall. They're still an animal. But they have chlorophyll and chloroplast, which is very interesting. So I'm going to try and zoom out a bit because it's starting to get the digital zoom. But look at that guy move. Just extremely flexible. You don't see parameciums doing this. It's much more stiff than this. They can bend and flex and stuff. But these guys are more like water balloons. They basically just squish and compress and roll over and twist, and very, very flexible little animals. There's that flagellum at the top there on the right. There's my little cursor there to show you right there. And there's plenty of other little critters in here. I'm not sure what the little spherical cells are in here yet. But so first I'm looking at this sample. But there's some other little guys that are much smaller than Euglena. They're also moving with a jerky motion, so they're most likely also flagellates. I'm not seeing any ciliates yet. But they're all kind of cruising through. This is fairly detailed layered material, so I have to focus all the way through it. Because at this is at 400 power, so Euglena is not a massive cell. It's a good sized cell, but it's nowhere near the size of a paramecium. At least not this one isn't. And the so 400 power is pretty big. Pretty big magnification. The scope goes all the way to 1000 power, and of course with digital zoom I can fake it even more, but it is pretty fun to watch these guys just do their thing. But you can see all the little chloroplasts in there, basically individual little green spheres floating in the cytoplasm of the Euglena. Really interesting. I haven't found these. I think the last one I did was a different water sample, but the last one I did was also Euglena, but it wasn't as green as this one. It was more pale. So I'm pretty sure that first one in the last show was also Euglena. But this one's obviously, this just screams Euglena, like textbook. Because of the behavior, the look, the color, the size, where the flagellum is going, doing its thing. But look at the shape changing. I mean, this thing's crazy. He's got some debris around him, so it's hard to totally focus on it at this point. But yeah, they're a trip. I was working at Children's Zoo for a while, and also the Palo Alto Baylands. I was doing some recordings here and there with the scopes we had there, and there was no way to record the output. It was just a BNC audio video camera out to a TV. So great for the public to see. The kids were digging it, the parents were digging it, everyone loved it. All the different interesting animals and plants and stuff at the Baylands. But I wanted to start cataloging the critters out there, so I was doing all kinds of pictures and video and stuff, and just doing with the fact that you get that pixelation and the moire patterns on the TV monitor, which is really annoying. But hey, you got to do what you got to do to get the images. I was able to clean them up enough to make a nice catalog for the teachers to help them identify all the critters that were out there. But I put a couple of videos up on an older YouTube channel that I have, and one of these is Euglena, just whacked out, doing more shape changes than this one was. And just for fun, I put a little sound clip from the old Japanese movie Green Slime. I don't know if you guys ever have seen that. Around the same time as Godzilla movies and Mothra and stuff. I think it's called The Green Slime. And there's this great singer, almost like a Tom Jones kind of singer, singing the song Green Slime. And I put a little audio clip of that in the thing because it looked like green slime. So kind of a bad joke, but made the video a little more fun to watch than just this green blob changing shape. So that was very nice. And this one is not moving that much, and I'm excited to try the oil lens because it hasn't moved much for a while. So if it's going to stay put and I want to go to 1000 power, I need my oil lens. So let's give that a whirl. Let's see what we can find. Oil basically improves the oh, there we go. Oil improves the image quality, going from whoa, don't want to do that. Oh, of course it jumped right back up to being a big image again. I don't know why it's doing so choppy. It's weird. Very weird. Okay. So now we're much closer. Maybe get a little bit better detail on this little Euglena. Now you can make out individual chloroplasts. There, see the spheres there? As it's kind of morphing around. Now I have to focus a lot, because when you go to 1000 power, you're definitely focusing. It's a very, very small depth of field. Hey Paul, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Looking at a Euglena. This is an animal that has plant characteristics. So you see green chloroplast inside the cell. They have this little red eye spot so they can see where the light levels are and know to go toward it or away from it based on the intensity of the light. And they have a large flagellum that they use to swim around. Right now it's doing this really, these guys are very morphable. It's the mighty morphin Euglenas, where basically quite gelatinous. They just change shape constantly. When they swim, they look like they're just as rigid as a paramecium, but all of a sudden they just start moving around. They're very, very just malleable, just changing shape constantly. Green slime on Nickelodeon. Yeah, that's later. In fact, Nickelodeon stole it from the Japanese movie, because that was from the 60s. Alright, so let's... God, it's really going nuts. And you can see the small critters swimming around it. Some other flagellates. They're kind of transparent, not very colorful. But yeah, this guy's really going to town. Twisting and turning and squishing and squashing. This is what you call, in animation terminology, squash and stretch, or squetch is a shortened term for it, where you get like the bouncing ball when the character falls off a building and the body squishes, and then goes boing, 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 and pops back up again. God, look at that. There's a flagellum right there. Whipping around. It's like getting caught up in the debris. It's so much debris that it's more oozing through there, and less, not swimming as much, it's more oozing. Yeah, look at that. So there's all the structures inside. Lots of chloroplasts. Lots of other stuff, and I'm trying to find the little eye spot. It's usually closer to the where the flagellum is coming out. There it is to the bottom left. See that kind of reddish spot there? Use the cursor here, you can find it better. It's right around here. There's a reddish eye spot. Yeah, I haven't seen Euglena for quite a while. This is cool. It's a nice find. As I was saying in the beginning, you missed the very beginning. This is rainwater collecting in some like flower pots and buckets and stuff outside. And what's cool about it, if you can leave old flower pots and old buckets and stuff out for a while, it is a risk because you can get mosquito larvae coming out of it. So too much standing water is a bad idea. You can get mosquito fish to combat that. They'll eat the larvae, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you just want to have a couple sources of little critters to look at, even a cheap microscope, a little standing water left for months on end, as long as it keeps getting wet or you put water in it, you'll have these little colonies of stuff just showing up, either from dropping in from birds, insects, falling out of trees, knocked off your roof into the bucket, whatever. And you'll always have new sources of things coming along without having to go out and search for them. You could be like a lazy scientist and go out and instead of going to have to explore and hike all over the place to find some stuff. The stuff will come to you. And look at that guy go. That's crazy. So this is 1,000 power. And without my micrometer on here, I'm guessing this, and I also zoomed in digitally a little bit. I'm guessing this Euglena is probably about maybe 50 microns long, something like that, micrometers. So, not huge, but good size. I have to focus at this crap a lot. But yeah, it's, if you didn't know what you're looking at, you go, what is this? But he's just really in the matrix there, just all kinds of cells in front and behind and to the side, and it's hard to distinguish it sometimes. But look at that shape changing. It's totally nuts. It's one of my favorite things to look at, not just because it's an oddity in nature with the animal with plant characteristics, but it's just so dramatic. So the ambient track tonight is the Flowful app, and this is a track called Eons. Just this kind of automatically generated ambient endless track. Uses some kind of algorithm to generate, so it does change quite a bit on its own. So I'm actually glad it went inside the debris. It means it's not swimming around super fast, because these guys can be fast when they want to be, and that way I can sit here and enjoy it at 1,000 power. So everybody wins. No jam streams right now. If I get enough relaxing ones, I could stream together. I put a few in the curated videos. So if you go on the channel, look at the curated, pre-made videos. I have a bunch of stuff either I made or I made with a friend years ago. Seem to fit the videos better. This long form, if I get enough together pretty soon, I might start doing that. But some of this kind of weird, ethereal, relaxing music is good too for the streams, I think, as long as it changes enough. So I don't have to think about it, and it gives it kind of a little bit of gravitas, I think. Since we're looking at weird stuff that's not spacey, but eerie and bizarre and full of wonder, I guess is the best way to put it. Oh, cool. You had some shows? There's a whole band, right? You guys have a whole setup? Yeah, more guys swimming around. Look at that. Look on the bottom right. Too hard to make out any detail on it. It's just too much debris. That flagellum's going crazy. It's cool how it can curl back on itself. Doesn't get all tangled up. So now I'm going to let me cruise around this debris just a little bit more since I have the close-up. Just you, huh? Oh, cool. Oh, the YouTube ones. Yeah, sorry. I thought you meant you actually did some on-premises shows somewhere. Yeah, I have to go back and check those. I haven't had a chance to look. I'm actually working on something. I was going to do it tonight, but I was doing this instead. There's a VMOM coming up on Facebook that's streaming to Twitch, the same one I did back in Thanksgiving. And it's actually due, well, technically it's probably due tomorrow night. I haven't even started it yet, so doing some modular thing last minute is always fun, but I will make something because I like doing the VMOM thing. There's no, actually there's a thing this month. There might even be a thing this week in San Francisco. So if I make something for the VMOM, I can tweak it a little bit and also play it at the San Francisco one, which is a live event at a local hackerspace. So I might do that as well. Get two birds with one stone. But no resonant frequencies this month, as far as I can tell. After they decided their last show was in San Francisco back in November, they haven't done another one since. So I'm not sure if they're doing one next month, but that's definitely a live event where you show up with your gear and stuff, which is fun. So I'm looking forward to that when that happens. All right, I'm going to cruise around a little bit. Euglena is fun, but let me see what else is here. Well, I've got close-ups. Anything else here? There's a little guy there. A couple little guys. So the really small spherical guys there, those are bacteria. Doing Brownian motion, that kind of wiggle, where they wiggle in place. This bigger guy is definitely a little flagellate. Kind of having, you can see the flagellum right there to the left. Sitting in this little bay of debris. Got flagellum going crazy there. My jam rig is two IntelliGel 7U systems with a new depth for patch bay to go between them. So if I patch across them, when I set up at the San Francisco event, I had to basically label, I think it was like 15 cables that went across both modules with just like blue masking tape, and just basically in a mad rush during setup and sound check, had to repatch them all. Because they were packed away in covers and stuff like that, and they were just loose cables for the sides that had to break apart, and it was a nightmare. So I saw somebody had a video, or Matrix Synth had a thing on it where, oh, look at that guy, there's Euglena coming out of the side. Whoa, surprise, surprise, look at that, must be a different one. There's the red eye spot toward the center, kind of focusing in and out. That was cool. Nice little surprise. He's crashing the party here. Look at that changing shape. Just all kinds of squishy, squashy. Amazing. Look how long the flagellum is. It's like as long as the body is or longer. It's crazy. Whoa, now it's swimming. And too hard to follow with this magnification. Let's just stay here for a while it's playing in the bay. Look at it twist and turn. There's the red eye spot. That's kind of a phallic look to it at times. There's that spot right there. It's kind of orangey red color. Look at all those chloroplasts in there. God, it's just so dynamic. Look at that thing. Squishy, squashy. So I love these guys. So cool. Anyway, so I got the depth for patch bay to patch between them. So all I have to do is, as I'm building the patches, if I'm going across cases, I just use the patch bay. And there's two RJ45 Ethernet connectors to connect both sides of the patch bays. So it's like a click, click, and unplug, and I'm set up, plug it all in, the power and everything, and I'm good to go. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to trace cables and miss one, because what I had during the show was one of my voices was fine during the sound check. At first I thought I mispatched it. And then right when it's my turn to go up, what they do is they basically set up a table, have 3 or 4 or 5 guys set up ahead of time, do a quick sound check, and then go sit down, wait for the show to start, and then you just go serially until it's time to take an intermission. Then you guys break your stuff down, a bunch of other guys go up to set up, same thing, and they keep doing that until the show's over. It's only, I think last time it was only 2 passes, so it's like 10 guys playing or something. But so it was cool, but I was pissed because during the thing, during sound check, my thing was working. I go, oh, I fixed it. Oh, thank goodness. And all of a sudden, one of the voices wasn't working, And it was one of the main voices. If you hear the YouTube video I posted on Hardware Jams versus the live version from the show, you'll hear what was missing. And so luckily I brought my A-frame drum to add a live element to it. And so I was able to kind of fill in some of the gaps with that a little bit, even though it's more freeform. And so that kind of saved the show, I think, a little bit. But I was kind of bummed that that happened. So with the dev for Patch Bay, I don't think I have to worry about that. And I've already done at least 1 or 2 Hardware Jam shows with the Patch Bay to test it, and it worked fine. So I'm looking forward to having that for another live event. And once it's patched, all I have to do is plug the RJ45s in, and I don't have to think about anything. Just not screwing up performance, I guess, is the only thing. Oh, look, he's beating this guy up with this flagellum. Get him! What the hell are you doing? Get that flagellum out of here. Well, I think I'll stay here a bit longer because it seems to like to come back here. Let's look at the guy he was beating up again. He's coming back for more whipping. And that long thing there, it's kind of dark, that dark line, that is a, looks like a colonial bacterial thread. Maybe a type of cyanobacteria or something like that. You get these long threads sometimes of colonial bacteria. And they can bend and flex like little hairs swimming freely in the water. Each little segment has a cilia, or at least a little flagella, I think, that beats, so it can kind of bend and move as it needs to, as a colony. Well, this guy's crazy. He's just knocking stuff all around in there. So you can see how fast it is here. So when you have to follow it, normally swimming, it's very hard to track because they can be pretty quick when they need to be. What's he doing down there? It's very active. I was checking out that spherical thing, spinning around. And some other stuff here too. It's like another smaller flagellate there, poking around. Looks like it has multiple flagella, but it's a lot smaller than the Euglena was. Pretty cool. So we're going to adjust the, I get a little more dramatic lighting here. Oh, it's one of these guys with the... Yeah. I think it's a Peranema. It has like a flagellum in the front. It leads with a flagellum, and it kind of sticks out more, almost like a nose. Yeah, these are really cool. I have to look this up again. I think it's a Peranema. Haven't seen one of these for a while. So it's a flagellate, and look at all the activity inside the cell there. All kinds of stuff going on. And this one's also quite gelatinous. See how wiggly it is and squishy. It's just kind of conforming to that debris as it kind of slithers by. love this 1000 power. This is so cool. You can really get some details. I have some footage of these guys on a previous video. Look at that thing go. It's got these little like gelatinous trails behind it. It's almost amoeboid. So cool. Yeah, I gotta look this one up. I've seen it before, but I don't remember what it is. It's very unique. I definitely have not seen it more than once or twice ever. But it's so squishy, you can just kind of go where it wants to go. So bizarre. It's got these little, it's like tentacles, which is odd because amoeboids, this group called sarcodines, like amoeba and all kinds of other guys in there, usually don't have this. Usually these pseudopods shoot out, but that's how they move. This guy's kind of using them as an accessory thing and not for his primary locomotion. Very interesting. It's moving like a, this is how, kind of how your white blood cells move, but they move more like a typical amoeba. This one is very different because the front part of it moves almost like a ciliate or a flagellate. The back part moves like an amoeba. Very bizarre. Can't wait to look this one up. Hey there. Sorry if you're working still. I just finished work a while ago, which is why I jumped on. And I actually have to set up my Roland TD17 that arrived. So I'm only doing this for a little while tonight because I have some drum stuff to do. Look at that thing go. This is one of the best pieces of footage I've had in a while. Such a bizarre character. Yeah, this is a very interesting creature. I'll know pretty soon what it is. I know I've seen it before, but I don't think I ever identified it. I spent some time looking this guy up, but it just, the motion's so bizarre. It's basically like a, like if you built a one of these guys in a lab, you would have the elements of a flagellate for quick mobility, because this is much quicker than amoeba. And but it has these pseudopod thingies out the back, like a typical amoeba. But it's so damn fast. And it has this way to probe ahead with the flagellum, which is very clever. Whereas an amoeba is pretty much just like, it's chemosensing, but it's kind of just dead reckoning. When you watch it kind of move, it's just kind of, oh, let's go over here. No, let's go over here. This one moves with a purpose, and it's quick. Amazing. I'm trying to get a dark field on this. This is cool. This is way cool. Ah. Come on, baby. Don't lose it. Yeah, it's cruising. Really wants to get somewhere. Try this patch and see if this works better. Trying to leave the slide. That's the edge of the cover slip. Yeah, oh, that's actually the wall of water. That's the it's starting to dehydrate. It's getting pushed inside the Euglena. We got a collision. Euglena meets other guy. Oh, now he's doing that thing where he shoots down the side like a flume. Uh-oh, I lost it. I lost it. Oh, I got one of these guys too. Haven't seen one of these in a while. Alright, where'd you go? Okay. Made a wrong turn at Albuquerque. Alright, where'd that wall of water go? There it is. There it is. Nope, that's just junk. Oh, there it is. Yeah, next to it. Everyone's getting squished by the wall of water. No! The wall of water wins every time. There's Euglena. Gonna run into it. There's a good size comparison. That little guy was following, and the Euglena coming by. There's the red eye spot. Let me fix that exposure a little bit. So the Euglena's getting squashed. Little guy's next to it getting squashed. Let's go down here and see who else is getting squashed along the 39th parallel. Ah, there's the one I was following earlier. Whoa, there's a Euglena. There's another Euglena. They're all getting squashed. They're getting corralled by the wall of water. Okay, it's time to back out and look at the... Let's go out this way. Get a long view of these guys. See them all corralled together here. Let's do... bring the gain down some here. A whole bunch of them getting corralled by the wall of water. Look at that. there's nowhere to go. Unfortunately, let's see how much further the other side is. There's an air bubble. Well, they got quite a way to go. That's the cover slip, I think. I think that's the other wall right there. So, it's not dire consequences yet. But, you know, just keep pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. Yeah, meet at the bar, exactly. Hey, Manny, how's it going? If you go back, you'll see some amazing shots of Euglena. If you haven't seen it before, it's one of those bizarre single-cell animals that has plant features. That actually has chloroplasts and this little red eye spot that uses to sense where light is, so it gets the best minimum or maximum exposure, and has a really large flagellum, which, you know, is about the length of the body or longer. And I got some amazing close-ups of it earlier. It's really cool. I haven't seen Euglena for, God, probably a few years. Not always that common. Now I think I know where to find them if they're still in my backyard. But I haven't seen them for a while. And now these Euglena are being corralled by the shrinking water volume of the cell from evaporation. And they're not getting hurt, they're just getting corralled, but eventually it would, if I left this on long enough, there would be the great crunch where the two walls meet and they get squashed, especially if there's debris in the wall and they get pinned. And then eventually, even if they don't die from being squashed, they'll dry out. So I'll have to rescue them before the slide gets too bad. Put them back in the little containers. And then you get that effect too. See how they're kind of scooting down? Sometimes you get this, it's the same I had in the video several months ago, where I had the ciliate doing the merry-go-round on an air bubble. It just, it's basically kind of a surface tension thing where it basically hits the edge and it just kind of rides a rail and just kind of spins around. And these guys do that too on the wall of water. They kind of hit an edge and they just go like a flume shooting down the flume. Occasionally see that happen, but not yet. So I don't know if I can put in another eyepiece of that, the oil there. I got to clean the oil off this damn thing. So rather than muck up my lens, let's make another slide. I also have another tube I haven't even looked at yet. From a different, this might be the one that's more colorful from the bird. I think this is the bird bath one. So let's see what we got here. If you saw the bird bath one before, you know there's lots of colorful algae in this one. First I have to clean my oil lens, so I get all the junk off there. Gotta take care of your optics. Okay. Let's zoom in on this guy. Ah, come on, get in there. There we go. Okay. There's a nice oblique lighting thing. Get the view of the surface tension of the water. See how the dimples around the this is outside the cover slip, so it's just freestanding water, and you can see how the water tapers off at the edge, and the debris is forming little dimples in the water as it pokes out. Good old surface tension. And there's a swimmer. Or is that just stuff floating down? No, it's just equalization, I think. Those aren't swimmers. Just particles. Alright, let's go hunting for some thingies. And all kinds of air bubbles in here. Lots of dead little bits of debris, air bubbles. More debris. Oh, that was a really bad slide. Round 2. I'm gonna stir this one up a bit. Might have settled to the bottom here. Got these cool centrifugable test tubes, conical bottoms. So there's a little apparatus you can build. I'm working on to use a drill and 2 tubes and do my own home centrifuge. Just a couple light spins to get all the guys on one side, and then I have to do less work, basically corralling them around. Just get a really concentrated cell of lots of guys. So should be interesting. Let's see what this does. A couple other projects too. I had a little microtome that I got to do microsectioning of tissues like plants and stuff. You can make these tiny little samples of micro-thin slices of plants, and then you can view them under the scope really well without having to use prepared slides, which are kind of boring most of the time because they're already pre-stained and don't look natural. Alright, let's see if this works. Let's see who's on this slide. Nice little dark field action there. Things flying by like in space. Look at all the osmosis is equaling out all the particles there. There's a nice little stream of stuff cruising by. Those little details are always fun. Alright, let's go look at some stuff. Nothing yet, just debris. Boy, I'm starting to think that bird bath was not so good this time. Actually, I think that second one was the bird bath. Was that number 1 or number 2? Yeah, that was the bird bath. This one is the bird bath, so it should be much better compared to last time. Not getting any cool stuff in this one. The real trick is you gotta check these little clusters out, like little forests. See what's in the forest. Who's down here? Got some. Okay, there's some of the algae from before, just not as much as last time. Little red and green and yellow cells. Let's zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Let's fix the light. So get some nice color in here. And some yellow and some green and reddish bits. Haven't had a chance to look these up. Oh, there's a little guy in there. Look at that. Little flagellate flopping about. So yeah, this is a bird bath. So At one point it was dumped out because it's kind of rests on a metal frame. So if severe wind comes along or somebody kicks it or a dog knocks it over, it dumps out its contents. So I fixed it a few times. Oh, there's a little guy. Oh, look at that. What's this guy doing? There's a little character right there. What is that? Seems to be free floating and not swimming. Let's stick with the guy that's actually swimming. Down here. Where'd it go? There's not much in this cluster other than the colorful cells. Fix that light a little bit. Yeah, Phineas Fogg. Micro Phineas Fogg floating by his little balloon. We used to have a shop here at Stanford Mall called Phineas Fogg's with the little balloon icon, and they sold like travel books and all kinds of other junk. It's actually a cool little store, but like everything else back then, it didn't last very long. So Discovery Channel store went away, and Nature Company went away, and Phineas Fogg went away. Yeah, I like these little colorful algae bits. I have to figure out what the hell these guys are. I have to look them up. I've never seen them before. Wait a second here, let me check something. What is that? Okay, just somebody at work acknowledging something. Can never totally ignore the chat at work. There's always something going on. Okay, well that's colorful at least. That's nice looking, but not a lot of activity. Let's do a quick pop out and cruise around. See if I can fix the dark field on this guy. Would be nice. At least some oblique lighting, maybe. There's a nice look. A little contrast. And I see stuff moving down there. Now I think I have to go back down there. Something must have come out of the shadows, so to speak. Oh yeah. There's a little guy poking through. There it is, down here. Little flagellate. Swimming through the debris. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to use oil to see it, and he's kind of small and wouldn't get a whole lot more detail out of it, even at 1,000 power. So I'm going to have to pass. Let's go look for some other goodies. Here's my dark field. Do a quick survey in dark field. Some tiny little guys swimming there. Look at those little particles moving. Let's get a little. Expose them at the bottom a little bit better. So a few clusters of those little plants. So, oh, there we go. Now we got a guy. All those little Stylonchia dudes. Alrighty, now we're in business. Let's fix this. I'm gonna have to do a little trick with the zoom here. So look problem with the eyepieces is their big jumps. With the digital zoom, I can cheat and do that, which is a little easier than constantly changing eyepieces. As long as I get it clear. It's not that clear. Back off a bit. I will have to go in closer. There we go. Nice oblique lighting. Look at those cirri. Going to town. Those thick cilia called cirri in the front there. And you can actually see the curve going down the top over where the oral groove is, like a little gullet where they bring in food. Paramecium have a similar thing. So the cilia drives the food down into the gullet. And then they form food vacuoles inside the cell membrane. Basically, particles get packed into tiny little, for lack of a better term, little stomachs that form just to digest the meal. Then they dissolve and they form new ones later when they need more food. Look at that guy. These are always fun. They have that jerky movement too. They'll go up and they'll do a quick jerk back and then change directions. So we're going to diagnostic behavior. Now you can see some particles in the dark getting swept in by the motion. Yeah, this camera's doing a much better job than my last camera, that's for sure. Get the stupid cursor out of the way. Look for particles. He's going to be sucking in some particles. Need a little more contrast. There we go. Need a little more light just to see the particles. And they tend to have this little behavior. They'll go in a circle. So they're easy to follow for a while. That particle is too big, so it gets rejected. And then it has that weird backup motion again. It's like it's getting attacked. And change of direction. It's like a little buzzsaw. It's like a microscopic leather face. Ah, man, he's out of here. And you can see some stuff inside that it ate. Has a color to it. So tinted. Some food vacuoles that are tinted there. There are particles coming in. See that little vacuums, micro vacuums. It's funny you think about how many things actually filter feed. From these guys and some smaller guys all the way up to clams and mussels, giant anemones. They can usually catch things that fall into them, but can also sometimes sweep things in, the mouth open. And tube worms. Rotifers are great because they'll do this behavior, but they have a much stronger suction, and they also use it to propel them. The parts that do the suction also use to propel them forward. And when they really need the extra leverage, they'll put that little foot down and kind of adhere it, and then they really turn on the juice And if I put this guy on the side here, you can have it all the way off to the right of the screen or further off. You can see stuff coming across going somewhere. Where's that going? Oh, it's a rotifer. He's like got an amazing suction. It'll pull stuff way off to the side into his little mouth parts. And quite impressive. They can also do like a little inchworm behavior as well. Very nice. Private gump, yeah. Yeah, there's see a lot of times these guys will have little thingies stuck on them, like little gelatinous things. Occasionally, as an animal, you'll see some of these guys start to die actually sometimes, and they'll start losing parts of their cohesion on the back end, and they'll start oozing stuff, and it's trying to heal itself, but it's also breaking apart because there's like a chemical, it's either an age thing where the cell is starting to die, or they've had a chemical reaction or pH reaction of some kind, and they're starting to break apart. And they're pretty good at self-healing. There's a great video some guy has online of a big stentor. It's like a giant horn of plenty ciliate. It looks like a trumpet. And it gets nibbled on the side by this guy, and it starts oozing all kinds of contents. And it kind of swims away half-assed, but quickly heals the hole. But he's now at like 2/3 the volume he was before. So he's still alive, but he's much smaller because he lost a lot of stuff to the water. But yeah, sometimes they'll get stuff stuck on the back, and they'll just be swimming around or carrying all this junk. It's very funny. Oh, look at that. I think he's dying. That's unusual. You're not supposed to let off material like that. That is weird. I've not seen him do stuff like that before. That's why he's trailing some stuff. He might be losing stuff on the back end. Hard to say. Have to follow him for a while longer. But there's some amazing videos these guys have caught online of them swimming while they're dying, and they're actually dissolving from the back up. And they keep swimming like there's nothing wrong, but the back end is totally gone, and trailing debris and organelles and all kinds of stuff. And the front end just keeps on swimming until it just kind of dissipates. I have some other videos on my channel. You'll see the labels, either in the title or in the table of contents, the little legend I put on there. And I've got several shots of some of these guys stopping. You see the contractile vacuoles finally stop, and then they swell and they pop, and then all of a sudden the stuff goes flying all over the place. But I think I've only one time caught one that was starting to do that while it was dying. Starting to break apart while it was still swimming. Yeah, it's very odd. I mean, you see with insects a lot. Insects can take like more than 50% damage to their body and still be alive, because the way the hydrocele, the hemocoel, basically, it's this kind of blood. It's equivalent of blood, kind of more like lymph in us. It's just kind of clear fluid. It's not obviously blood like we have. And that can just be, they can partition off parts of their body and they'll lose a big chunk. Like we had these praying mantises we used to feed these beetles, and you can see the beetle is still alive, and all that's left of the beetle is the head and part of the thorax, and pretty much the abdomen's all gone, half the thorax is gone, and it's still got some legs on the side, and they're still twitching, and it's still very much alive, even though it's lost most of its body. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well, these guys do quite a lot with a single cell. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, so you get this thing where things come in and they kind of bounce off, and they'll just keep bouncing. You get this rejection from size. And they'll just sit there for a while. It just looks like they're juggling, like you said. They're just kind of bouncing off. It's pretty funny. Happens a lot with the rotifers. They'll suck in a whole bunch of big debris and just bounces off, and they'll just keep sucking the debris in. This guy actually, I think, warrants another oil immersion lens trick, because it's not moving that much. And I like the details. He's got a lot of detail here. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. Gotta fix my light levels here. Oil's not behaving. Come on, oil. I have to get totally. There we go. I think I got it now. Stuff can be real picky sometimes. Problem is when you get this oil connection with the lens, and then when you start moving the lens around, it also can move the cover slip, and all the guys get kind of squished underneath it. There we go. Okay, now I just gotta find a place to focus. There's some material there. Oh, is it the oil or the water moving? Where did my buddy go? I lost my buddy. Well, that didn't go too well. Had him for a moment. Let me go back off for a bit. Oh, wait a minute. Damn it. Let me try this one. I gotta find him again. I lost him. There's the debris. There's there's a big air bubble moving through. Very space art. Okay, just wanted to show the air bubble. That's kind of cool. Where did my buddy go? He's a really nice specimen too. All kinds of stuff down there, but no ciliate. Bizarre. Sometimes when you do the oil lens, they get kind of smushed and pushed off to the side. You might have just gone off frame altogether. Ah, hell. Let's make another slide. Not gonna hunt for that guy forever. It was cool while it lasted, but I can always make another slide. Yeah, he went off to take a bathroom break. He went to the well. He was with those guys. They met at the bar, right? And he couldn't hold his liquor, so he had to go to the restroom. All right, let's see what's in this sample. What's in this one? Got a blob there, some kind. Let's fix my lighting here. Yeah. Kinds of debris. I think I'm on the wrong focal plane. Some more of those little cells. Nothing swimming. It's a nice little island of stuff. Might be some good down there. Yeah, nothing there. Just some colorful bits. Yeah. No movement. Yeah, that one sucked. I think I have to shake up the tube a little bit more. Let's try one more out of this tube. Okay, we got this guy. All right. Interesting streaks there. Something. Oh, there's a cover slip. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, we got some stuff moving. Ooh, there's a little guy. Ah, it's one of those little guys with the little thing from last time. These are interesting. It's got this gelatinous cover around them. It's definitely a single cell algae of some kind. And they've got this really cool transparent bubble around them. You have to kind of defocus to see it. I've never seen these before. These are related to the colorful clusters of cells. If I bring the light level down, let's see. Let's try to do a little bit of a dark field on here. Can't. You can see the structure there. It's like a gelatinous outer covering, like a protective layer, but it's not what would be a cell wall. The cell wall is basically around the actual plant itself, the dark green structure, or at least a cell membrane, depending on what we've got here. But in general, that little extra layer is really interesting. Got some smudges on my lens here. I think I mistakenly got some oil on this lens. It wasn't supposed to have oil on it, which is very bad. Have to do some cleaning. But yeah, they have structure's very interesting. For too much light, you can't see the layer. But you can see the details inside. And it clearly has flagella because it's doing that jerky motion like that. So yeah, I've never seen one of these guys until the last time I did a slide of these. Never seen them before. There's a flagellum there. You can kind of make it out at 12 o'clock a little bit. Actually, wait, is it upside down on here? Yeah, it's around 12 o'clock. There's a little thing poking up. Actually, I think I have two of them. There's one at 12 and one at like 5 o'clock. Yeah, I think they have two flagella. Yep. Very cool little guys. No clue what they are. I have to look them up. But interesting structure. If I didn't know any better, I'd look at this and say, oh, it's an egg of something because it has that protective layer outside of it, like a lot of eggs do. But then it's green and it has the flagella and it's doing its own movement. So, very interesting little creature. Yeah, it's a deflector shield from Space War, right? Except this one stays on permanently. So it has something to do with, I don't know if it's, again, until I figure out what the hell this guy is, I don't know what its life cycle is. So I don't know if that's a permanent structure around it, or if it's just a development structure. But it clearly looks well defined to me, and it has flagella, so it's not like it's, you know, a brand new cell. And these things, these small, generally, you know, they can do some form of sexual reproduction. Like in the Paramecia, it's called conjugation, where the cells just kind of line up, connect the cell membranes, do a little bridge, so cytoplasmic bridge, exchange information, and keep going. And then after that's binary fission. They just break into other ones. They don't have proper, like we have with mitosis versus meiosis, which is a much more complicated system. These guys basically have a pretty simple, there's some basic genetic sharing and then binary fission. So And I have a video, one of my curated videos of some paramecium stuff. I actually caught some forming a conjugal bridge, swimming around together for a while. That's kind of cool. See that? I've never seen that before. Just caught it by accident. Yeah, green or yellow, even red. So green is usually a chlorophyll. Red is usually, well, it depends on the organism, but at least in higher plants, you know, yellow are like xanthophylls, reds are anthocyanins, and some other structures, other chemical structures. Greens are usually chlorophylls of some kind, although if you look at diatoms, they have a yellow type of chlorophyll. Gives them that kind of yellow color instead of a green color. So yeah, very interesting variations with these guys. But yeah, green basically tips you off, except in the case of Euglena, which I had on earlier, that it's a plant. Euglena is an animal that has chlorophyll, chloroplasts, which is just a bizarre piece of evolution. But generally you see green, even if it has, in this level, even if it has, you know, you have like Volvox, which is a colonial algae. You get Chlamydomonas, which is this kind of mostly spherical algae, which has 2 flagella, and they're all algae. They're all plants, just single-celled. In the case of Volvox, they form a colony. Kind of looks like a Death Star a little bit, and they cluster together in this kind of gelatinous matrix. In some, they just kind of connect together, and all the flagella point outward, and they coordinate together as a massive entity, and they just kind of, you know, there's some communication between them, so they tumble a certain way. Hey, let's head this way, let's head that way. It's kind of a group collective movement, and they're really fun. I love Volvox, but I haven't seen one for a while. I probably have to go to Balance to go get some, because I can almost always find them there. But colonial algae are really interesting. And then you get the long, like rod-like shaped ones called oscillatoria, and other kinds. And then you get other ones like Amoeba, which is a blue-green algae, which is technically a bacteria-related, much more primitive than regular algae, and it also forms large colonial rods and can swim around and do stuff. But it's got more of a blue-green color than the green color. It's the chlorophyll's a little bit different. So yeah, there's a lot of variation in these guys. That's why it's always fun to. I wanted to do more of these live streams, because not only am I finding stuff just randomly and trying to figure them out on the fly, but getting lots of nice surprises along the way. Even stuff I've seen before, just different behaviors, different conditions, and when you structure stuff too much, you limit your time. And having a long live stream, you can just kind of, oh, that's cool, I didn't expect that. Oh, look at that, and what the hell is that? And just all kinds of, you know, it's the old, you know, more time in the field argument. Spend more time doing it, you're going to see more cool stuff. But yeah, these things are pretty cool. So I'm going to tweak the light a little bit. If I make it too bright, you miss the sphere, but you can see the cell a little bit better. Some structure in the cell there. Very cool though. But it has to do with these guys here, the reddish ones, the yellowish ones, these yellow ones up here. And some green ones. And you know, not knowing what the difference is, the green may be the normal form, and then the reddish one might be a kind of a sporulated form for development later. Hard to say. So many different life cycles in these things, it's really hard to tell. Let's do a longer view here and see anything else to find on this slide. I'll do one more slide from the other tube, which was pretty good as well. So again, this was the bird bath. Like here's some green ones that don't have the structure. These are more, they're more like the red one, the yellow ones, but they don't have the little transparent layer around them. Oh, there's that guy again. I love these guys. Yeah, look at them swim. This one's more active than the other one. This one you can see some color inside of it. Almost like the red eye spot of the Euglena. But it's that same guy with a little layer. And this one you can see the flagella quite well. Quite active too, which is fun. The other one was pretty boring. And you can see how the flagella kind of come out of the top and branch out and curve around the side when you focus through it. It's kind of a Y formation. Very interesting little guys. And again, I've been looking at microscopes since high school, off and on for years. Never seen this guy before. So I have no clue what it is. Other than a flagellated single cell plant. But the structure is very intriguing. Let's see those flagella. Kind of flail out, spread, and then kind of gather at the apex. Right there, almost like antennae. And then they flail out again. It's a very clever system for swimming around. I'm assuming that red thing is kind of like an eye spot, like the Euglena has, so it knows where to go. Eye spots tend to be kind of a reddish color in either Euglena or even in something like a copepod. You know, these reddish. Yeah, there is more dark in the copepod. But in the Daphnia, the water fleas and stuff, they can be. I guess that can be red in both of them. I've seen different variations on them. Copepod often is quite red. But yeah, it's really, really interesting stuff. It's also very gentle. The movement is very subtle, so it's not like jerky if I have to follow it around. Makes it a little more fun to watch instead of this crazy herky-jerky microscope stage moving. It's so cool, that movement is so interesting with the way the flagella move. Kind of fan out. Actually quite graceful. It's really cool. Yeah. Stage is not very forgiving. Yeah, exactly. It's like need some Jeff Wayne music, right, for the War of the Worlds. It's just very unique structure. It's pretty good so far. I got this guy again. I got the Euglena. A little Stylonchia action. Is pretty good. Glad I decided to do this. These tubes, unfortunately, sat around for a couple of days because I got busy with work this weekend. I didn't have time to do it. Luckily, they're still kicking. I made sure to give them plenty of light and made sure the water level was good, and kind of jostled the tubes around a little bit to aerate the water. Don't want it to get stagnant. Some people actually raise this stuff. I mean, I go out and collect these things. Some people actually raise this stuff on a regular basis with little aquaria and special conditions. And then if they find a really good slide, ooh, look at that motion. If they find a really good slide, they have a humidity chamber, and they put the slides in a humidity chamber so the slides don't dry out, and they keep looking at the same specimens, which is kind of clever. But eventually it's not going to make it because there's not enough food on the slide. Or in this case, not enough light unless you put a light in with the humidifier, because this guy needs light to survive. But it's very fun. You talk about the names of these things. Well, they all have a meaning. I mean, they're Latinized names, right? Either Latin directly or Latinized. So it's either somebody's name converted to Latin, kind of like our Carl Linn became Linnaeus. He was one of the original founders of biological taxonomy and naming conventions for plants and animals and stuff. And so that was just the trend back then. They took basically a dead language, unless you're in Catholic Church, and turned it into a language of the sciences. So there's Latin all over the damn place in biology and medicine, and in biological naming structures, taxonomy, even terms, various terms, and so forth. So it sounds like crazy names, but there's a rhyme and reason. There's a method to the madness. Yeah, actually, it's kind of fun because, being pre-med for a while and then getting way into biology over the years and getting a degree in it, I actually enjoyed it because I always liked languages as well. I took a lot of Spanish growing up, but to actually study Latin through biology was pretty interesting. And it made me understand Spanish that much more too, since it's Latin-based, and also made me understand Italian and a tiny bit of French. It's because French is so different. Portuguese is a whole other matter. There's no way. I've heard it pronounced many times. I've seen how it's written. I spent time in Brazil, and I could understand a little bit of it, but it was so different to me than Spanish, and didn't really click. But yeah, whoa, where'd he go? He went flying. As you can see, he flicks those flagella, he can get out of town pretty quick. That was a weird move. Oh, there's another character next to him. Who's that? Another tiny little flagellate. That one's kind of a compressed, kind of a flat, elongated disc shape. You see the curve to it. It's kind of fun. Yeah, that's too fun. I could sit and watch this guy all damn night, but time to look at some other goodies. What else we got on this thing? What else we got? Oh man, for a second I thought I found an amoeba, but it's just it's like a smooshed bit. Looks very amoeboid though. What is that? I'm going to investigate. very much like an amoeba shape. It might actually be a dead amoeba. It totally has that look. Those little pseudopods sticking out. Let me fix the my eyepiece is acting wonky. I think I did get some stupid oil in this thing. Being careless, going in too fast, not paying attention to what I was doing. Let's see what I can do here. Luckily these eyepieces aren't crazy money. If I did have to buy another one, it's like $150 or something like that if I screwed it. Because you can some have to get cleaned, but usually when they're, unless you're spending like thousands and thousands of dollars on a microscope, it's not worth taking out stuff to get cleaned unless it's really, really been demonstrated to help. Because objectives aren't that expensive. I don't have to plan. There's a plan objectives is a special kind of microscope objectives, and these are just standard objectives. The plan ones are quite expensive, so I opted not to get them, at least for now, because the quality is pretty good without them. Let's see if that's any better. Yeah, it's definitely cleaner now. Let's get a little. Oh, it is an amoeba. Cool. It's moving. I got lucky. Let me fix the lights. There's a very good slide. Look at him go. So you guys saw that thing earlier that had like a back end. It looked like an amoeba. This is a proper amoeba proteus that has full-on pseudopods. A gelatinous structure. It can kind of go anywhere it wants to. And looks like it had one of those things for yum-yum. See the big yellow piece in there? It ate one of those things. It's got a nice little food vacuole in there for digestion. And it's funny when the so it's able to change. It has, just like everything does, it has a cytoplasmic skeleton. So it has microtubules and microfilaments, and things travel along these microtubules, microfilaments, and it can basically, at will, kind of shift and build these microtubules to push out in different directions to form these pseudopods. But if you watch the material, oh no, here comes a water gap. It's going to push it. No, it's a bad timing. I'm just enjoying this guy. The water wall is pushing off this thing. Oh man, that's not cool. Where'd he go? He's getting squished. My poor amoeba. No, amoeba. No. There's too much drama on the slide. Just enjoying him, and then he gets destroyed by this wall. The problem is too, if I add some water to it, it might actually just freak everything out. Let's see. Sometimes it makes it worse. Because the surface tension between the cover slip and the slide, and it's really hard to get the water to go back under the cover slip once it starts doing its advancing. Poor amoeba, we're just enjoying looking at this guy, and he's getting oh, he's going to smash into some debris now. No, no. Oh, that's cruel. Get him out of there. Unfortunately, these guys are so slow they can't move out of the way. He's going to get pinned. Excuse me. Pinned. Didn't even get to digest his meal. Oh, man, look at that poor guy. He's got to conform to that thing now. That's not normal. Oh, look at the bacteria going nuts. See the zigzags? Those are a Spirlla bacteria. They're so fast. Excuse me. Add beer, yeah. Add beer would be a quick death for him, which might be a good thing in this case, because it's... Oh, he's got his own vesicle now, see? There's a little water trapped in an air bubble, and that's all he's got left. The waterfront has already moved on. He's in an isolated air bubble. There's his meal. He never got to eat his meal. And unfortunately, the air bubble is going to continue to... Boy, it looks good. It's not even a round air bubble now. It's more almost square. Trapezoidal. I've never seen an air bubble like that before. That's bizarre. So the debris is not letting the bubble, the water container, be a normal circle. It's being pushed out. So again, surface tension. It wants to form a circle, but it can't. Poor guy squashed in there. I'm just enjoying looking at him too. I haven't found an amoeba for, God, almost a year since I found an amoeba. I just found him and now he's squashed. What's my luck? Oh, man. Hey, Paul, how's it going? Sorry I didn't see you earlier. Paul Corneros, sorry. Yeah, this is rough, man. This is a good metaphor for life here. Everything's going good, and all of a sudden, you get squashed when you least expect it. Oh, here is the intrusion. See, now it's really starting to compress and dry up. He's getting squashed and squashed. You see all the particles inside shifting around. That's like a trash compactor. Boy, that's brutal, man. I've never seen an amoeba go through that before. That's pretty rough. Poor little guy. Oh well. I guess nothing else to say but good night, sweet prince. This is the darkfield tomb of the amoeba. That's a trip. I was so bummed out too. I was looking at that guy. I was having fun. There's another vesicle. There's the intrusion slowly starting to... So those little plant cells are going to start getting crushed as well as it starts to dry up further and further. It's going to pinch off and form little vesicles. In fact, it already did. These are the little islands. Look at that. That's about ready to dry up even further, just like the other one did. I didn't think I was on the slide that long. It dried up really fast. There's the wall of water continuing on, pushing more stuff with it. Sometimes it's violent, sometimes it does little subtle movements. It's fun to watch it pinch off, though. Damn, that amoeba. I'm bummed out. There it goes. Here comes the pinch. Bam. Who knew that would be so interesting to watch? But it is. And then it just keeps advancing, advancing, advancing. Alright, well that's it. I'm going to do one slide from the other. I still haven't done one for a while from the second test, or was it the second test tube or the first test tube? This is number 1. So this is the debris that was in the flower pot on the back, not the bird bath. So let's see what I can find here. But that bird bath continues to pay off. That bird bath had the amoeba and all kinds of shit in it. That was cool. Euglena. Very nice. Oh, there you go. That's interesting. Look at that blue thread right there. Where's that fluid? Oh, that's actually fluid. Oh, interesting. That's actually a refraction effect from the... I thought that was a blue thread. We get a lot of industrial man-made threads in these samples. It was a perfect example of why you can't fool the CSI guys. There's shit everywhere you can trace pretty easily. So here's some little guys swimming. Might be Euglenas again. Let's see. Looks like they might be. Let's get some darkfield down here. A little oblique lighting maybe. Very nice. Alright, I'm gonna go, let's see. Try that one. I swim off screen. Where'd you go? Alright, not moving that fast. I can go in a little bit further, I think. Moving more than I thought it was going to move. Doing a lot of tumbling. Oh, there we go. Yeah, looks like it might be another Euglena. Tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. Big old flagellum making it tumble like that. Like throwing a bad spiral pass. Yeah, I can't see this, but I'm having to constantly move the XY stage and focus on the Z. Those guys make it really hard. It's like the hardest video game in town. God, it's really doing a zigzag. Yeah, it's got a lot of Z plane to move through, so it's a lot of focusing. Alright, I have to zoom back because that's just too much. That is too much. I'm not sure if I get a decent focus, I can bring the digital zoom into play. This gives me a little more fine control here. Let's see. So I can zoom in a little bit, but not as extreme as that other eyepiece was. A little too much digital zoom. Yeah, just moving. The earlier footage I got of the one that wasn't moving so much is easier to look at it. This guy's moving a lot. I mean, it's fun to watch it swim, but You're not getting really any detail appreciation. That hand out of there. A very characteristic tumbling swimming motion, though. Very wobbly. So with ciliates, you basically get them zipping straight through, back, forward, left, right, twisting, turning. They don't have that crazy tumbling motion. There's a little guy next to it tumbling as well. Alright, let's look for some other stuff because that guy's too hard to follow. Oh, look, a whole bunch of them here. This will be easy. Now I can zoom in. Oh my god, there's tons of them here. Alright, cool. Now I can zoom in. I can do more light. And I can zoom out here. And I can fix the contrast here a little bit. So a whole bunch around these clusters of stuff. This is nice about these. Whatever clusters of junk, whether it's debris or living cells, whatever these cells are here, you'll always find some stuff that hangs out, almost like a little forest. You just kind of camp there, find a good spot, focus, and just let them hang out. Makes it more enjoyable than getting dizzy from constantly scanning, chasing, zooming, focusing. But then they left. Now they left. Some little guys in the background there. Hey, thanks, Manny. Thanks for dropping by. Ah, cool. You can see these little threads here? Those little flexible threads there. Those are little bacterial colonial threads. I forgot what the name of them are. They're not the type that it's photosynthetic like Amoeba and Ulothrix and stuff like that. They're actually some other kind that I'm not familiar with, but they're very small. In fact, if you didn't look very carefully, you'd just think there was just some junk in the background. But watch them wave. They actually have individual motion, and they actually undulate, like they're being washed over or blowing in the wind. It's very cool. It's like blowing grass on a plain, wheat fields and stuff. Just hang out here for a bit, let these guys come for a visit. Change this light a little bit. So I did a pretty good job cleaning the eyepiece, but I think I still have some oil residue on it. Not as clear as it should be, but it's decent. Let's see what happens when I autofocus here. What does it do? Or auto exposure. It's still off. Manual's the way to go. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Comment. Z is basically, so I got XYZ, 3D space. So I have an XY stage. So here's my X, here's my Y, and then Z is the focus. So they're all pretty close together. So with two hands, you can easily control them pretty well. But it's still a coordination because, you know, there are some visual flips with the way the optics work. So you have to remember which direction is right and left, which direction is up and down. And you have to do it all on a moment's notice. And when you're quickly following some little guy that's constantly changing directions, it can be kind of, it's fun, but it can be a nightmare after a while because it's not only hard to do, but for people watching, especially if you get motion sickness. I had some friends that couldn't play certain video games because they get motion sickness from too much crap on the screen moving around. And I don't want to make people sick. The whole point is to enjoy this, have fun, and learn some stuff, and just get kind of lost. So you have a long day, work or home life or whatever, and come here and hang out and trip out and learn a few things, see some weird things. You've seen some stuff I've never seen before, and I've looked at this stuff for years. So it's always an adventure. And try to add the kind of trippy ambient music to help create an environment, create a mood. So it looks like they're not enjoying this spot anymore. So let's go take another look-see. A bunch over here. Oh, it was so cool I found another amoeba. That was a score. And then I got to enjoy for a couple of minutes and then he's gone. Probably should look for that first. Could have spent some time. There's another one of those cells with a border around it. Let me fix the exposure here. Interesting. Whatever that happens to be. And that again looks kind of like an egg cell. But based on the scale, it's pretty damn small. So it's most likely not an egg cell. And we have these little flagellates swimming all around like little ghosts. Oh, we got a Vorticella. Oh, you guys are lucky here. I got a Vorticella. Man, he missed this one. I have to tell him to check back. So you get these ciliates that have stalks, and they can separate, and they can be in clusters, and they form these little wine glass things called Vorticella. See those little kind of fluted things here? Let me get the light fixed. Those two little fluted guys. And you can see the crown is like little cilia moving around. They're doing what the rotifers do. They create a suction, and they have this kind of mouth parts at the top. Oh no, the water moving in again. Just when I find something cool, the damn water screws me up. So this is Vorticella, and they on these little stalks, and when they get irritated, like if this guy irritates them, they'll retract, and the stalk forms like a little corkscrew as it pulls them back in as a defense mechanism. And they're really interesting. I haven't seen them for a while either, but you'll see them in little clusters. There you go. There, you see it when it eats something, it kind of collapses. But it can also fully retract the whole body on the stalk. These little tiny stalks that make like a corkscrew shape when they retract. And that's when they've eaten something, or sometimes they get irritated by either a chemical or something that bumps into them. And there's a whole bunch of these guys. This one specifically is called Vorticella, but there are a bunch of different kinds. And they're usually clustered like this. They'll kind of hang out together on independent stalks in like little groups. Just hanging out like, you know, you see like a bed of mussels or a bed of oysters. or clams or whatever, especially mussels on the coast. And they're just in a common area for filter feeding. They're just doing it on a microscopic level. But there's this cool kind of fluted wine glass kind of thing. And you can see the contractions there. And a little cilia going around it. There's a little structure inside that's like little mouth parts almost. But it's really just a cluster of cilia, because they're single-celled on a stalk. But yeah, there are a whole bunch of them here. Well, at least these two. Sometimes you get a cluster of 4 or 5, but I usually find them in clusters of 2 or 3 every time I find them. But I love them. Vorticella. And they're creating vortexes, basically, which is where the name comes from. They're sucking things into their mouth parts. And they're just cool little wine glass things. See that stalk there? It's kind of out of focus a little bit. God, I'm glad I found this before the water squished them. So the one in the front, the one in the foreground is more active. It's doing a lot of eating and collapsing. The one in the background's not doing too much. Let's see. Let's see, they have a characteristic shape. It's kind of a fluted wine glass. And then this kind of a curvy tip, where there's like a circle of cilia. And they kind of have a concavity, kind of like the gullet I was talking about, but it's a different shape on these guys, I guess to maximize the surface area. And they just sit there and suck, 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 bring things in all day long. And this damn water is going to screw everything up here. Yeah, these guys are really cool. Shame I can't get a sharper image with this objective. I might have to go out a level so it's brighter. But I knew immediately when I saw them. They just have a very characteristic shape. It's a stalk with little thingies on there, and you see stuff circling around them because they're creating a vortex like the rotifers do. So if I can zoom in with this eyepiece a little bit, maybe that will help. Yeah, it's not that clear, I don't think. It's not terrible, but it's not as great. But you see, they even sucked that guy in right there. See how he bounced off of them? They create a decent amount of suction. You can see it's like these circular motions around them. They're totally affecting the area. It's a lot of suction. So even if you can't find them right away, you see their actions. You see how they interact with their environment. Let me try, I thought I had some lens cleaner for this stupid eyepiece thing. I'll do that later, I guess. It's bad timing. Bad timing. But yeah, all these Vorticella, very cool. Look at all that debris getting sucked over. And you see those little motions where they go. They do a quick kind of almost like they're biting something, and withdraw and pull back. Like a nervous reaction. If I get a little contrast here, you can see the stuff circling around him. Boom! See, that guy got sucked in. And there's a big particle. Yeah, I used to watch these guys at the Baylands all the time. I'd find them all the time and just leave them on the monitor. It's like a screensaver almost. Vorticella feeding and people coming by checking them out and just tripping out. Alright, Let's try something else. Give me 1 second. I can't find my lens cleaner, but I can get some. There's my deionized water. I can at least use some clean water on this thing. Get it cleaned off a little bit. I think there's still some residual crap on my optic. And the water wave continues. Hope of getting it as clean as I could possibly get it. Maybe that helps, maybe it doesn't. Fingers crossed. Yeah, it looks cleaner. Maybe we did it. Let's see. Can't find my guys though. I think they got carried with the wall of water. Oh, there we go. Ah, they're there on the edge. Poor little Vorticella. Oh, wait. No, they're down here. Cool. Yay. Let's fix the lights. There we go. That's better than before. It's cleaner. Optics are better. They're not perfect. Here they are, continuing to create vortices. And since they're stuck on a cluster, they're at the mercy of the cluster. So as long as the cluster is intact, they won't get squashed. You can see all the other guys back here are getting squashed against the debris. So in a way, the Vorticella are well placed. See that swirling debris there? Just out of focus. It's making a nice little vortex, like a little dust devil underwater. Constantly creating that little swirl. And just focus on those particles. You can really see it. Look at that. Just constantly creating all that motion. So anything remotely the right size, little bacteria and stuff, the stuff they like to eat, will just get sucked in. Constantly moving the debris. Until they take a break for a while, and then the corona opens up again, starts spinning around, and now the particles are swirling again. So you can see when they clearly take a break, and that little vortex stops. This is some of the best footage I ever got of these guys. This is cool. And the vortex stops. The little guy swimming by there. And the vortex is up again. But they have a pretty complex little structure for a single-celled organism. You got these little like flanges there. It's a very interesting shape. It's really fun when you can get them completely isolated from debris and you can see the stalks they're on. These little tiny hair-like stalks, and when they coil and they get disturbed or whatever, it's perfect little like an alpha helix you get in chemistry. Just a perfect little helix, and then it basically retracts, and then they're in a straight line again. Look at that thing swirling. It's like Mickey and the Sorcerer's Apprentice or something. Debris stops, and debris starts up again. Even those little guys are being sucked along for the ride. See little flagellates and stuff are just going along in the loop. They're like, I can't get out. This is too much fun. People say science is boring. This stuff is so interesting and so funny. He stops, opens up, now he goes off again. Oh, now we've got aggressive movement here. Slide is drying up further and further. Enjoy your vortex while you can, guys. It's not going to last that much longer. This little guy in the background, the big guy's doing a lot more work, it looks like. Because when he moves, all that debris starts moving big time. Those guys are getting pulled off course. That is so great. They're getting caught in the backwash there. They can't get out of there. This is great. Who knew this would be so entertaining tonight? It's like a little no-fly zone. Getting caught in like the jet engine, you know. Get out of the jet backwash. These guys are swimming around down here in freedom. These guys are not. These guys are all getting screwed up here. They get in there, they get stuck. I can't get out. They keep bumping into them. It's funny though because when they're big enough, they notice the guy doesn't retract. He's like, okay, it's just a big guy bumping into me. Look at that. You can really see the detail inside the Vorticella now. That's cool. All those little details. You can see as they're eating stuff, they're making little food vacuoles. And that's and you can see the contractile vacuole, the big circle thing that keeps changing size. So they can regulate their own cell pressure. Really nice. There you can see the spindly little stalk they're on. So I've seen it free swimming before. I think sometimes the stalk can break and they just swim around. And I think other ones may cut it on purpose and then they resettle somewhere, regrow the stalk. I have to read up about that because it's been a long time since I read about these guys, but they're really interesting. Those little violent things where they close up and just kind of pull back. Oh, the little micro vortex. That's so fun. Oh, there goes the damn wave of water again. Get stuck in there, they can't get out. There's the little guy. There's the big guy. Yeah, you can totally see when the big guy stops, pretty much all the action stops. The little guy, he can stop, doesn't matter, the big swirl is still going. Yeah, look at those vesicles move inside that guy. He's making new food vacuoles constantly, and they're shifting around the cell. A lot of great detail here. I dare not go to oil because then I'll be too close. But I might real quick before the slide gets too dry. This guy is so fascinating. He's got so much going on inside the cell. I think I'm gonna go oil. What the hell? Very interesting. Okay, let's see if I can find him again. That's the tricky part, because you focus with the oil and you can really move the cell around, or the slide around. Come on, man. To make sure I'm recentered here. The right spot. Give you an example how small they are. You can see the cluster of debris there. And the Vorticella is right in the center of the frame. So if I go, the Vorticella are right here. You just barely see them there on that little peninsula coming down, doing their work, pumping the stuff. So they're quite small. Now the trick is, why didn't the oil find them? Oil lens is not behaving. Oh, wait a minute. I got that part of it. Let's go a little bit further. There's a cluster. Yeah, it's not focusing for some reason. It's really weird. It's focusing on the level on top, but it's not focusing below. There's the debris field. Yeah, I can't push in further. What's going on? It's very odd. Oil's not going there. Well, and because it was moving, did it totally screw up the whole slide? It's still kind of there. What a pain in the butt. Oil's not behaving. Anyway, that's some really good shots of Vorticella there. That was pretty impressive, I have to say. Definitely the best view I've ever had of Vorticella. Best view by far. That was really good. Let's clean that muck off of there. What the hell? One more slide. That was a good collection. Might get some more Vorticella. Okay, I'll do one more. I have to go set up my Roland TT drums. I've been waiting too long to play with those. God, there are tons of those flagellates on this one. That's a great water sample. Holy smokes. Tons of those guys on here. Whole ton of them. Now the problem is if I want to find an amoeba, I'm going to do that first, just in case I get lucky again. Since I've already looked at these guys already. I should zoom on that just for fun. That looks pretty cool. Let's try that. Let us try that section. Look at all those guys there. So much activity. And one guy's tumbling like crazy. Just tumbling in place at the bottom right of the screen. Going in circles. But again, most of the same critters. Let's see. Ah, Vorticella. Look at that. Vorticella on the edge again. That is so bizarre. Another cluster of 3. There's another one down here by itself, next to another guy down further. Yeah, they're on this debris. Look at that. Oh, these guys are really clear here. You can easily see them in this shot. But I can definitely go closer. So now you have a trio of Vorticella. Not as dramatic as the other one where you saw the circling vortex, because they're in open space. But here you can see the filaments they're on. Let me zoom in here. Oh no, they're doing the same. I see the same debris field here. Look at that. Let's get some brightness here. A little more contrast on this guy. So he's doing the same kind of spinny debris thing here. Now you can see 3 of them. All that motion inside the cell. That's so cool. Let's see. All little packaging going on and things shifting around. It's like a whole Amazon warehouse inside there. There's the contractile vacuole pumping away. It's a little ring of cilia going crazy. You can see when they retract and then expand, you can see how the whole structure works. It's a fairly complicated little mechanism there. And you can see his little so much activity. Alright, I'm going to rest the oil lens again because I want to see what the hell happened. I want to get a close-up with one of these guys. See if it works this time. Fingers crossed. Okay. Here goes. Fingers crossed. Oh, there we go. I got an image. Man, that is close. Boy, that is way close. That is so cool. Let me get situated on the yeah, that's the best one right there. Wow, you can really see the structure. Let's see. It's got a little bit of oblique lighting going on here, so it's got a 3D look to it. Look at that. That's amazing. Yeah, Larry, Daryl, and Daryl. I think these guys are a little more intelligent than those guys. So you have like a little rim, or the cilia pop out and form a little, like a corona. That's where they're driving that to make the little vortex. And it's kind of nested in there as it pops out. You can see it right there. Kind of extends. It flares out like a flower almost. A trip. So that view shows the contractile vacuole there doing its thing. And pumps. And I'm going to try getting the normal view here a little bit, if I can. Watch it retract and then come back out again. And then boom, it opens up like a little flower. Here you can see little particles that they're eating, swimming by, bacteria and stuff. Crazy. Alright, I'm gonna go play some other equipment for a while. Thanks for hanging out, Paul, and whoever else is still there, and everyone else that joined tonight. Good times. Lots of good stuff. really good show this time. Lots of cool, unexpected stuff. Like I said, I haven't seen Vorticella in probably 5 years, maybe more. Love these little guys. So, thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time. Remember to stay curious. Catch you later.